Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I'm going to show you the first scale that you should learn on guitar. It's called the open E minor or G major pentatonic scale. It's got two names, but it's the same scale. We'll go over that later. And what's great about it is that it uses all the open strings, so you only need 2 fingers to play this scale, and it's easy to incorporate into open chords like this, or to make rockin' riffs like this. So first I'm going to show you how to play the scale, and then I'll give you a few riffs to get you started with it. Before I do any of that though, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you get all the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. All right, here we go. So first I'm just going to demonstrate the scale, and then I'll show you how to play it. Going backwards. Okay, so we're going to start with the lowest note, which is the open E string. Then we're going to play the 3rd fret on the E string with our 2nd finger, then open A string, then 2nd fret on the A with our 1st finger, then open D string, then 2nd fret on the D with our 1st finger, then open G, 2nd fret on the G with our 1st finger, open B, 3rd fret on the B with our 2nd finger, open E, 3rd fret on the E with our 2nd finger. So now we're going to go backwards, but keep in mind what happened there. Anything on the 3rd fret had the 2nd finger, anything on the 2nd fret had the 1st finger. So I'm not going to mention that on the way back down. So starting from the highest note, 3rd fret on the high E, open E, 3rd fret on the B, open B, going to the 2nd fret on the G, open G, 2nd fret on the D, open D, 2nd fret on the A, open A, 3rd fret on the E, open E. Alright, so one of my favorite ways to practice scales is with a metronome, because this allows me to track my progress and watch my technique improve over time. So let's say like today, if you're able to play the scale at 60 beats per minute without making a mistake and with perfect timing, but anything more than that you can't do, then you know, like, all right, so right now my max is 60. And then you can work on that daily for a few minutes and then see your max improve. So you kind of keep pushing yourself without going too fast that you're making mistakes. So let's just start at 60 beats per minute. If this is too fast for you, that's okay. I just want to demonstrate. So what we're going to do is play one note on each beat. We're going to start on the lowest note of the scale, work our way to the highest, and then come back again. When we get to this note on the 3rd fret of the high E, we're going to play it again before coming back. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. Alright, so when you see guitar players using this scale, a lot of times they're not picking every note. They're using a technique called hammer-ons or pull-offs. So watch this. I'm going to play up the scale where I only pick on the open string and I hammer on to the fretted note like this. So pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer. I'll do that again. Now on the way back down, you can do pull-offs. So you'll pick the fretted note and pull off to the open string like this. So with the hammer-ons, just like you would with a hammer, go like this before striking. You wouldn't just go like that. You want to do the same thing with that 2nd finger. You want to kind of pull it back and then hammer it on. You also want to get the very tip of your finger where it's hard and bony, because that's the hardest part, right? So play the note, quickly cock back, and then strike right down. Now your aim is going to get better the more you do this. And then on pull-offs, you want to kind of pull down and out. So it's like a slightly down and then out kind of thing. So again, do this really slow. So just like I did with the metronome picking every note, I could try to work up doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. All right, let's get into some riffs now. What's great about this scale is if we're playing any song in the key of G especially, so that would be a song that starts and ends with a G chord, has a C, a D, an E minor, an A minor, we can add in notes from this pentatonic scale as embellishments. So here's an example. Here's a G. I could add in some notes. Then to C, D, back to G, A minor, back to G, E minor. So using that technique, I'm going to teach you a riff to get you started. So here's how it goes. A 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to start with this G chord. Then we're going to play the whole riff with the first finger. We're going to go open A, then second fret on the A, then open D, second fret on the D, then work backwards, open D, and then second fret on the A. So just the riff is do, 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 do. Now in order to make this happen, this second finger's got to kind of come up a little bit to make room for that first finger and that string, because sometimes there's a tendency to block off that A string with that finger. So one tip is try to use the bottom part of the pad. So instead of going dead center, try to get that string with the bottom part of the pad, and that will give you a little extra room on the bottom side. So if you look where the indent is on my finger, it's more toward the bottom. So then we go to the C, and we do the same exact thing, but now using the second finger and on the next two strings. So open D, second fret on the D, open G, second fret on the G, open G, second fret on the D. So exactly the same, just down a string. And then on the D, now we're going to go in the opposite direction and use that third finger on the B string to play that note, then let go, play the open B string, but we have to be careful not to touch it with our first or second finger. So we got to really kind of play operation and keep them out of the way, just pointing them straight in. Then first finger on the second fret of the G string, then open G string, then we come to the D string, first finger on the second fret, then open D, and we're just coming down the scale, then second fret of the A, which is part of the G chord, and then we just play the G chord. So the whole thing again real slow. Now here's a couple advanced tricks that we can do to really bring it to life. We can use hammer-ons like this. So after I play the G, I pick the open A, then hammer on, then I play the open D, and then I do this little flam. It's like a grace note. I play the D open and quickly hammer on. So I'll do that in context. Then C, I could do the same thing. So I'm hammering on here. And then that quick hammer on. Then on the D, all the same to start, but now here I'm going to hammer on. So instead of, I'm going to go, so that whole D together. So putting the whole fancy way together. Now you can change up the rhythm. Check this out. So use that just as a springboard for your own creativity. You can make it more simple, more complicated, change up the rhythm, whatever works for you. All right, so that was an example of using it as the G major pentatonic scale. And that means that we call this our home note, the 3rd fret on the low E string instead of that lowest note. So we start on that 2nd note of the scale and we call that home. But it's still the same notes. But when we call that note home, we call it G, major pentatonic. And when we call this note home, which is the low E string, we call it E minor pentatonic. Okay, so now here's an E minor rock lick for you to learn. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so what I did there is I played an E power chord. A power chord is kind of like a really beefed up single note. If the single note was E, we can play a note that's called the 5th from E to make it a power chord with the E. So we play these two notes together, and that 5th of A, and the reason why I'm letting you know this is because sometimes you'll see a power chord notated as something like E5, and that 5 means play the E and the 5th, and that is a power chord. So that's how you would write the chord symbol for a power chord. You would write E5. So it's the note E with a note that's the interval of a 5th up from the E, and that's the 2nd fret on the A string, and we're going to play those two together, those two strings together. So I go like this, E power chord, and then I go to the highest note of the scale and walk down, and I play 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, descending from that highest note. So you can use your 2nd finger or your 3rd finger, definitely not your 1st finger. So then I play an open A string and the 2nd fret of the D string, so that's an A5 or an A power chord, and play those two together. And then I start from the B string and play that 3rd fret on the B string and work my way down 4 notes. So I end up with 3, 0 on the B and then 2, 0 on the G. So putting that all together, we have E5, 3, 0, 3, 0, then A5, then 3, 0, 2, 0. So one way you could have some fun with this and make it your own thing is just change up the rhythm. Check this out. Let's go in the opposite direction with the riff. All right, so now it's your turn to come up with your own riffs. Mix together the chords G, C, and D, along with some of the notes of this open scale, and then mix together your E power chord and your A power chord with some of these notes in between, and come up with your own riff. All right, I hope you guys had a great time with this one. As always, please subscribe so that you get all the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. Happy playing, have fun, and I'll see you guys next time.